The Lake Conspiracy. If entitlement were an Olympic sport, Margaret Larson, the HOA president, would have clinched gold and plastered her victory on every mailbox in Oak Ridge Meadows. She declared my private lake every shimmering drop on my family's land community property, rallying a kayaking crew to invade it without my consent. What she didn't know was that I held the key to a hidden valve, a masterpiece of engineering my grandfather designed. That sunny Saturday, as her flotilla paddled out, I was set to drain the lake for routine maintenance, exposing a grid of sharp steel spikes beneath the surface. Within minutes, her triumphant community event spiraled into chaos, kayaks stranded, screams echoing, and Margaret dialing 911, accusing me of sabotage. This is the story of how one grieving farmer dismantled an HOA empire in 72 hours, exposing lies, betrayal, and a conspiracy that shook our neighborhood to its core. I'm Daniel Harper, a 52-year-old widower, hobbling on crutches after a motorcycle accident 6 months ago that stole my wife, Emily, and left my left leg a work in progress. The lake, nestled behind my house in Oak Ridge Meadows, Tennessee, is my last tether to her and my grandfather, who built it in 1983. It's no ordinary lake fed by a natural spring, controlled by a drainage system only I understand. It's been in my family for 3 generations. But on a crisp Tuesday morning, Margaret's silver Cadillac SUV rolled into my driveway like she owned the deed. Margaret, 50, was the HOA's Iron Queen, her auburn hair as unyielding as her rule. She wielded bylaws like a scepter, her smile as warm as a tax notice. Trailing her was Tom Bennett, her eager deputy, a 40-year-old bank clerk with ambitions bigger than his clipboard. "Daniel," Margaret announced, stepping onto my property, "we're here to discuss the community lake." She waved at the water like it was her Exhibit A. I leaned on my crutches, pain shooting through my leg. "Community lake? This is my land, Margaret. Every legal document in the county says so." She produced a folder thick with charts and a signature I didn't recognize. "Our environmental assessment proves the lake's fed by a shared aquifer crossing multiple properties. It's a community resource." Tom nodded, filming on his phone, his eyes darting nervously. I countered, "My grandfather built this lake. Every pipe, every Stomey family's work." Margaret's smile didn't budge, but her eyes flickered. "We're hosting a community lake day Saturday," she said. "It's happening, with or without you." As they left, I realized she wasn't just challenging my property, she was waging war. That evening, I checked the lake's control panel, hidden in my shed behind a false wall. Grandfather's system was a marvel, a brass valve and underground pipes that could drain the lake in 10 minutes, plus retractable steel spikes to stabilize the bed during maintenance. They rose when water dropped below 18 inches, sharp enough to pierce rubber or metal. I tested the valve, the gauge needle quivering. Perfect. Margaret's kayakers were in for a surprise. A soft knock broke my thoughts. Ruth Miller, 68, a retired court clerk with sharp eyes and sharper instincts, stood at my door with a plate of oatmeal cookies. "Daniel, I saw Margaret's stunt," she said, settling onto my porch. "That folder screams fake. Real assessments take months, not glossy printouts." She showed me Margaret's Facebook post. "Oak Ridge Meadows Community Lake opens Saturday," with 50 likes. Ruth zoomed in on a photo, revealing a camera on my oak tree, installed 2 days ago. Margaret had been watching me, studying my routines. Ruth's advice was firm. Document everything. And check your property lines. Saturday dawned bright. Margaret's SUVs clogging my yard like a tailgate party. Families unloaded coolers. Kids ran to the shore. And Margaret, in khaki chic, directed 4 yellow kayaks from a rental trailer. Tom handed out waivers, his phone recording. "Welcome to Oak Ridge Meadows Community Lake Day." Margaret boomed, claiming the lake as ours to cheers. I stepped onto my porch. "Neighbors," I called, "this lake has unique features. Be cautious." Parents exchanged glances. Margaret countered. Our safety evaluation cleared everything. "Daniel, we've got this." Tom approached, filming. "Are you interfering with a community event on public property?" I replied, "This is private land. I'm just warning you." Ruth appeared, holding survey records. "Daniel, these permits detail the lake's construction and maintenance." Interesting reading. Her words seeded doubt. Some parents hesitated, but most stayed, lured by the lake's sparkle. At 2:25 p.m., I excused myself, citing my leg. Ruth's knowing look followed me. At 2:30, I turned the valve. From my kitchen, I watched Margaret's kayakers paddle, unaware of the 20,000 gallons draining below. Minute 1, silence. Minute 2, scraping sounds as kayaks grazed spikes. A boy shouted, "Something's hard down there." Minute 3, chaos. A man's kayak lurched, a spike puncturing it with a hiss. He yelled, "Help!" Spikes rose like a medieval trap, black and lethal, stranding boats. Tom, filming, waded into 18 inches of water, then screamed as a spike snagged his jeans. "Margaret, what's happening?" Margaret, on the dock, shouted, "Stay calm," but her voice cracked. A woman waded to shore, and kids clung to a flipped kayak, crying. Margaret dialed 911, screaming, "He's sabotaged the lake. He's trying to kill us." By the time everyone reached shore, the lake was a muddy flat, kayaks like wreckage among spikes. Margaret paced, calling lawyers. Tom nursed a scratch like a war wound. Her social media blitz began, psycho neighbor's death trap. Clips of crying kids went viral, omitting her trespassing. By Monday, she was on TV, teary, claiming she'd uncovered a booby trap. I faced a DA's letter for reckless endangerment, a civil suit, and neighbors shunning me. My insurer balked, citing deliberate acts. Doubt crept in. Had grief warped me? Thursday night, Ruth found me broken in grandfather's chair. "Daniel," she said, handing me tea. Truth outlasts lies. Her folder held 40 years of records, permits, safety inspections, and my Monday police report notifying authorities of the drainage. I'd followed protocol, Margaret hadn't. Then Tom knocked, trembling. "Daniel, I'm done with Margaret's lies." He revealed her months-long plot, a $5,000 fake report, stolen records, and a camera tracking my schedule. She'd known about the spikes, planning the disaster to ruin me. Tom's phone held a 23-minute recording of Margaret confessing fraud, conspiracy, and her pain-driven motives. Losing her son after a divorce fueled her need for control. Saturday, Ruth's courthouse contacts shared Tom's evidence. News ran, HOA fraud exposed. Margaret's confession looping. She arrived at 10 a.m., dressed for TV, but faced hostile neighbors and reporters. "Comment on your recorded confession," Channel 5 asked. Margaret snapped, "It's illegal. Tom's framing me." Tom stepped forward. "I have every email, every fake document." Ruth revealed Margaret's letter to her son, confessing her desperation. The crowd's anger softened. Her villainy stemmed from human pain. 3 months later, Margaret pleaded guilty to fraud, getting probation and community service. Tom, spared jail, lost his job, but became the lake's safety coordinator. New HOA rules curbed fake reports. I opened Willow Lake Park, honoring grandfather with safety protocols and educational displays. Ruth led the HOA, ensuring transparency. Margaret found purpose at a shelter. Tom's family grew, and he joined a nonprofit. I found peace sharing the lake, healing through community. Have you seen pain turn to purpose or faced injustice? Share your stance on violence and fairness in the comments. Your voice matters.